Teachers have three loves: love of learning, love of learners, and the love of bringing the first two loves together. And don't see any teacher more. Yenya teacher papa bako ewe yente. Maka 5th October World Teachers Day. Na Ghana ha yedi bi hihye so ye fen Ghana Teachers Prize. Na yene past winners no bon komo ye hwe de e koso wo mabrabo. Enti no ene ye wo a past winner e wo ha sei. Ai enche beda na bi a kire. Ye twa ye ho sima. Anything I visit down with them awamo. Middle for I na do a video na to her a teacher. The only teacher appreciation show in the world. In the world. If it's in the room, you want to be a Mama Sonte. Today on our show, you will Mr. Nicholas Gborse, 2018 winner, Ghana Teacher Prize on our show. He is a teacher at Bishop Herman College. Bishop Herman College. Now, I'll share history and government. I know I'm Sir, welcome.
Thank you, madam.
How are we?
We are doing well by grace. And how are you too?
I'm good. I'm
All right,
good.
sir.
I'm good. Sir, who is Mr. Nicholas Gborse? The name, they have to take time. If you know how, whenever.
Yeah, so I am Nicholas Maunya Gborse.
Maunya
Gborse. Maunya means God knows.
God knows.
Yes. I come from Adakurahunda, in the Adakuru district of the Volta region.
Okay.
That's where my parents come from. But I school, but I school at a place called Tregui. So I went to Tregui EP schools. From there I went to Keta Business College, my alma mater.
Keta?
Yes.
Hey.
We have Keta School and Ketabu School. I went to Ketabu School.
Okay.
Yes. And from there I went to University of Cape Coast, the University of Choice. I'm sure one of the toughest universities in Ghana. From there, I began teaching. First at Datus International School, where I taught for a while. Yes, Tama. Where I taught for a while. Became head of departments. And then later I left for Bishop Herman College, Bando. I've been teaching there for a while. Bishop Herman College, I'm sure you are aware, is one of the best schools in Ghana. It's a boys-only school, one of the most disciplined schools. Basically, that's about my background.
Okay.
Yes.
So how long have you been teaching?
I've been teaching for 40 years now. 40 yes, 40 years as a teacher.
Yes. So how is it like in the boys' school?
I think I'm the best person to compare because my previous school, which is Datus, was a mixed school.
Mixed school, yes.
And one thing about Datus was the fact that it was a multicultural society. You have students from all over the world, but females were more than the males. There were some peculiarities there, which you may not find at boys-only schools like my school currently, Bishop Herman College. One thing about them, though they are boys-only, to be very honest, I will rate their level of discipline as very high in terms they are really disciplined. It does not mean there are no exceptional cases of one or two students breaking school rules. Those things are normal. But in general, they are okay. Because we are boys only, some of the issues that happen in mixed schools, we don't tend to record them. But there are emerging acts of indiscipline in all of these schools. So we do have our isolated cases of issues of indiscipline there as well. But I think above all, we are one of the best
So
discipline
you
schools.
recommend a single-sex school
You know, we've all written that debate in school before, whether it's GSS or SS. It's still out there. There are people who hold the view that if you look at the academic performance of boys, single-sex schools as compared to mixed schools, it appears that single-sex schools do better. The verdict is out there. I don't know where to
would they
conclude.
integrate very well in society when they go for these single-sex schools?
Some find it difficult, especially when they get to the university. At least the first 2 years, some of them find it difficult. They withhold themselves. But I think things are changing now because they have the opportunity, especially with this system we run now, the double track. They almost all the time they are going on vacation, so they have the opportunity of mixing with their mate from other schools, especially the girls or the other sex. So I think it's improving as compared to maybe our time, when maybe you have to stay in school for that long and then you are isolated from society or not. It's getting better.
Whoa,
Yeah, yeah,
whoa.
yeah.
So all this while, did you want her to become a teacher?
Yes, my becoming a teacher is no surprise to me because I caught that revelations when I was in class 5. So I think it was just a
Revelation.
yes.
By who? Angels came.
Oh no, angels didn't come. But what happened was that when we were in class 5, I remember second term then, our teacher was transferred. So for the whole of second term, we didn't have a teacher. And I became a caretaker teacher for my class.
Class 5.
Class 5. I taught at that level. So the love for teaching was instilled in me at that level. And since then, I love to teach. And so I don't know any of my mates today who see me as a teacher and who is surprised. No, they are not surprised that I've become a teacher. Yes, sir.
That's great.
And I enjoy doing that.
Are
My
there
students
any
will test.
challenges? Are there any challenges?
Oh, teaching, like every other profession, has its own challenges. There are a lot of challenges in teaching. Sometimes you are disappointed, even in your learning. Sometimes maybe the level at which you expect them to assimilate what you have taught them. You know, teaching, if you want to do it very well, you need to put in a lot of preparation by way of your content, by way of your methodology, and all of that. Even gathering information, gathering teaching learning resources, all of that can take some time. And sometimes you need to commit either your time or resources into doing all of that. They can constitute some of the challenges. Sometimes, maybe even among colleagues, some disagreement over certain issues, and then you are combining all of this with your role as a father or as a parent, and other roles that you play either at church and at social groups. It can be a bit tough, but I think we are not the only people who have those challenges. Every other profession has some level of their own challenge. Yes. So we're coping.
Reward is in heaven.
I don't think teachers' reward is in heaven. First of all, heaven is not only meant for teachers. Every Bible says, "For God so loved the world and has given His only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in Him will not perish but have everlasting life."
Amen.
So we are also one of those loved by God, like lawyers, like medical doctors, and every other person. So if every other person has the opportunity of inheriting heaven, then we teachers are also part of those who can inherit heaven. And so whatever is promised us here on earth by way of our salvation, we must also benefit from it. Salvation is not only when we die and go to heaven before we inherit it. So I don't think our reward is only in heaven. We need to get the reward here as well. Yeah.
I don't think. I don't say, and they are for Sakakra. It is a on teach you, Papa. See, you're better than they say, teachers next year. Almost here, so they are brought for the Yentimi and Trambo, Mr. Home. And try your home.
Anything I visit, I meet number one.
Made up with more far and not do a video not to a teachable and the only teacher appreciation show in the world. But who will be a Fabra Narisha? And there we are featuring Mr. Nicholas Gborse. He was the winner of Ghana Teacher Prize 2018 on the show. Say, welcome.
Thank you, madam.
Welcome.
Thank you. No, we don't have Igbe. There's no language. Ever. Very good.
We say
Wezo.
because I'm from Ashanti region.
No, it's a mistake.
It's a mistake.
Yes.
Somebody a mistake.
Yeah.
Ever.
It's actually a stereotype.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hey, then forgive me.
So we are Evers.
Evers.
We are Ever. Actually,
Ever.
Yes.
Okay. We say Wezo.
You.
Sir, let's go to Ghana Teacher Prize.
Okay.
How did you get there?
How did I get there, madam? That is a very long story. All right. You recall that the award has been there since 1994. But what is unique about our time, 2018, was that it was the first time a reform was made. So the entire award was repackaged by Ministry of Education and National Teaching Council to make it conform to international standards. And sincerely, it's better now than in the past because of how competitive it has become and the processes, the rigorous processes involved. Before 2018, I was recommended by my school a couple of times, but I actually did not show interest in that because of the stories I've heard.
What are some of the stories?
There were allegations of, they know there are people already. That whole thing is just, some will say kululu. If you don't know anybody, all those stories where there you'll be wasting your time also. Yes, I've heard some of those stories also. Sometimes you are a human being, you may indirectly get imbibed by some of this. So 2016 I was recommended, I didn't go. 2017 I didn't. But 2018 I was invited by my assistant headmaster academic. This time they talked to me, and sincerely I was not ready to go again. But he kept putting pressure on me until I decided that, okay, just for the sake of respect to his office and my management, let me just do it so that they won't say, perhaps I don't respect. So we did it. At our time, we started at the district level, so the district team invited us and interviewed us, after which they presented, I think, 3 of us to the regional level. So at the regional level, each district, by then I think we had 24, 25 districts in the Volta region. OT was part of us then. So we had, I think, 75 of us reaching the regional level. And then at the regional level, interview was conducted, plus micro teaching and all of that. Then we were reduced to, I think, 8 of us, from 75 to 8. And then another round of interview, this time more rigorous. And micro teaching was done again, and then we were reduced to 5. And by the grace of God, I was the overall best teacher. We call it most outstanding teacher at the regional level, just as I was at the district level also. And then our names were presented to the national level. So by then we had 10 regions, as you know. So each region at the time presented 5 candidates. So we were 50 who got to the finals. Our names were published in the national newspaper dailies at the time. And then after which we were invited for interview in Accra, which we went. And after which the names were reduced from 50 to 10. And by the grace, I remember at that time, my name was on top of the 10. And that was not the end. A group of, it's a panel of 5 or so at the time, went around the 10 schools that we, the 10, were coming from. So they visited, at about 6, 7 regions were involved. They visited our schools to authenticate or validate the things we claim we have done. Before then, we had written some stories about ourselves. If you add everything, it will amount to 3,000 words. There were some thematic areas we were supposed to write on. And so by visiting the school, they were coming to validate the things we are written about ourselves. And they also to check certain records about us, teacher attendance, class records, register, and all of the records about our work. They did all of that, after which they engaged our management in another bout of interview. I remember they spent almost 1.5 hours interviewing my management members alone. They also get information about you from the community, your church, and other things that you know, there's community work involved.
Yes.
They get information about all of that. There were also, this one I'm not aware, but I'm told that they even conducted a security check on us, and then, yes, so they did all of that. After which, they invited us to the grand finale. Our time was pre-sec Legon, so all 10 of us were invited, without anybody knowing who the ultimate winner was. And what was more serious, madam, was the fact that we were all asked to write an acceptance speech, meaning that you had won. So everybody had an acceptance speech. And then you hiding yours, thinking that you had won, not knowing your friend also has it. Yes, so that's basically what the situation was in 2018. Very, very, and it was the first of its kind in the country. So there was no template. Yes, for us.
So what were you doing that made you stand out? That made your headmaster or your superiors recommended you to partake in it?
With the new templates NTC is using now, and the Global Teacher Prize also using, it is not a matter of maybe you are producing all A's in your exams or your subject area, or if you teach in GHS, you are producing all ones. That's not what they are looking. That's good. You're doing well in that. But it's a whole, teaching has become a way of life. So they are looking at all the totality of all of that. So your community participation is key. To what extent is your work impacting your community?
Sure.
They are looking at that. So some of the initiatives that you take. So at my level, for example, I do write a lot. I write on national issues, on educational issues, and they are looking at, that's how you are affecting society with your work. Then how are you affecting globally, how are you affecting your learners? They are looking at all of that. Leadership, what teacher leadership are you showing in the school and in the community? They're looking at all of that. Then your innovations that you are putting in, they are looking at all of that. They're also looking at your classroom achievement, which I touched on earlier. So in terms of productivity, are you producing the result? They want to check all of that. Then they're also looking at your, as I mentioned, your story self, how you became a teacher. Did you just become a teacher by accident, or is something that you had always liked to do, and therefore you...
That story you presented.
Yes.
At least summarize it for us.
Oh, yes. As I said, it was no surprise that I became a teacher. I was influenced by my class 4 teacher. Now she's on retirement, Madam Lesia Apenvo. She took special interest in me, such that what my mates at the time could do, I was not allowed to do it. It was as though I was a first child or son. And so she modeled me in that way. And so even when I got to secondary school, there was some amount of discipline already in me. And then teaching at the secondary school level too, even though we're in secondary school at the time, I was teaching my mates some of the subjects. And they were calling me teacher already. And what increased my interest in teaching was when I was made teaching assistant at University of Cape Coast. There, I was under 2 supervisors then, or lecturers then. And by the grace of God, they all made better use of me. I did a lot of tutorials for my class. By then, one of my lecturers was handling level 400 and 300 courses. So I was made to do tutorials for them. And so the interest was there in me already. So it was not surprised that, yes, no, yes.
Okay, so your acceptance speech.
My acceptance speech, if I recall, I touched on how rigorous the process was.
But before then,
Yes.
what was the feeling like?
Madam.
Waiting to be called. The wait.
You know, it's only those of us who went through that who are able to describe it vividly.
Yeah, I have you here, so
Yes.
describe it for us.
I earlier said all of us had acceptance speech. And none of us knew who the winner was. Nobody knew. NTC will not tell you who the winner is until that time. So you are just called. That 1 second, that's when your name is mentioned. Yes. And so you can imagine how you feel. If you don't take time, you may not be able to control your emotions. But that's how it is. It was not crying per se, but a lot of things running through your mind that God has made it. First of all, you need to appreciate God, that God has made it. You were very competitive it was, but God and the panel have settled on you that you are the ultimate winner. You can only give thanks to God and humble yourself. That's all. Yes, yeah.
So when your name was mentioned, you want to know what God, how you wrote it, those you acknowledge and all that. We want to know.
When my name was mentioned, I felt excited. I remember my school was represented, my headmaster, colleague teachers, my wife they were all there. And then they all started jubilating. My family were also there, at least.
Okay.
So I could look around and say, God has done something great for me. I was saying that within me. My district did a lot for me in terms of encouraging me. The region itself, my regional director at the time, they all took interest. Our coordinator, Madam Doris, Abayavo, so they all did a lot. My colleague teachers, sincerely, they helped. Those of them who needed to give me advice, they did so. My students, you see, sometimes we don't give them appreciation. Without them, we can't reach where we have reached. If they say you are achieving results, it is because of the students or the learners you are handling. So I am appreciative of the work or the role played in my life by my learners, both in Datus and in Bishoman College, and every other person I've come across. Then the NTC itself, being the first of its kind, they were organizing that. At least I think they did quite well.
Have you received all your prizes?
Yes, I've received prizes. No. Yeah.
No.
I've received my prizes. Yes.
Understandably, you were given 180,000.
Yes, please. For a three-bedroom house, yes.
And 5,000?
No, there's no 5,000.
Just the
Yes,
180?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Is the house?
Yes, it's.
Where is it? In Pandu?
No, it's located in Ho.
Ho.
Yes, sir.
And after this price package,
Yeah.
what are some of the benefits that have come your way?
Well, not just the benefits, even the pressure.
Pressure?
Yes, sir. Now, everything you do, you have to be cautious because you are measured in a different perspective.
Oh, that comes with the pressure?
Yes, that's pressure. You can't just live your life the way, perhaps some of the things you used to do, now you need to be measured in whatever you do. That's one. In terms of what has enabled me to do, first of all, it has given me an oral. It's made me exposed than before. That's one thing. The other is that you get opportunity of being invited to certain platforms, especially in our space, education space. I remember 2019, I took part in the National Education Week celebration. That was where we had the creme de la creme of stakeholders in the sector meeting and taking policy decisions. And I'm glad I was one of those who took part in such a forum held at La Palm Royal Beach. I've had the opportunity of attending a couple of such programs also. Currently, I'm engaged in doing quite a lot. I do a lot of teacher mentorship.
So that's the project you've taken
Yes, I do a lot of teacher mentorship. My specialization is into school culture, school culture knowledge. You see, it's an area we have all overlooked, and there's no focus on that. And I tell colleague teachers that the difference between any two schools is just about the culture of the school. The reason Wesley Girls is what it is no secret, it is the culture. That means that if you take a so-called dull students, poor students to Wesley Girls, that student will be able to adapt to life in Wesley Girls because of the culture in that. So you'll be surprised that that student might have gone to Wesley Girls with a very poor result, but will come out with relatively better results. Not maybe as compared to some who will be getting all A1s, etc. But that student will do quite better as compared to if you were to take that child to another secondary school or another school where the culture of learning or the culture setup itself is not supportive of learning. So I'm into that school culture knowledge. Our actions help put the national interest first. I think whatever we do as citizens, we must remember that there's a national interest we need to protect. And I think if we help to protect that national interest, regardless of our political colors, then regardless of our creed, our religious affiliation, and ethnic allegiance, I think this country can get better.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm giving you the platform. If you have people to say thank you to, you can, and also encourage those, let me say, the nominees, 2022. Encourage them because you were once in their
shoes.
in their shoes.
Yeah.
So.
And so all I would tell them is, first of all, they should disabuse their minds of those